Welcome car audio enthusiasts. I wanted to just do a quick video to sum up the last 12 months. Not a fantastic 12 months for anyone, as you can see. So let's just pick a few highlights, starting with Dan's car. Look, this was such a fun build to do. Honestly, it was hard work to get period correct equipment and put it all together for Dan. It involved lots of towing this car around, but it came out fantastic in the end. We ended up using 3 AGM 80 amp hour batteries to give it plenty of power, and it is one awesome sounding car. Big thanks to Sam over at Fat Audio Concepts in Brayside. Thank you for helping me out with the trunk. Really came out amazing. It's a work of art. Really complemented the look and feel of the car to give it that 1990s auto salon feel. Just adjusted some of these gains and then resummed the inputs, but it's all pretty good. Bit of an update I was giving Dan there at the time via mobile. Look at that boot, that looks amazing. I was really impressed with the Focal 12s as well. They absolutely hammered in a sealed enclosure in that car. Really quite surprising, some of the results when we were tuning. But again, having ScanSpeak up front was, I think it made life a lot easier. It sounds amazing. So we ended up sending the car back to Dan. We had to send it via tow truck because it couldn't travel. Let's not open that can of worms. It was a really disappointing and difficult year. So a bit of an anticlimax, yes, sending the car back, quite sad. But we weren't alone. Lots of people shipping cars around during the time because they couldn't travel interstate. So one of the other little projects we did was a fixer-upper, as they say. This was Dean's Volkswagen Transporter van. This was his work truck, and I had some specific instructions from Dean as to what he needed. And there's Mr. Safety kicking off the build. So this was 4 RE-XXX15s, my apologies, that we put in a sealed enclosure in the back of his van. And this is primarily so all his tools rattle while he's driving along when the bass hits. He can't hear them rattling because it's that loud with the bass. And like all good bass heads, he now has the problem of his front stage not keeping up because he's got that much sub-frequency in the car. But this was fun. I enjoyed building this box. It was like Noah's Ark. I just went to town on all this lattice structure and ribbing, give it strength without taking away too much of the volume. Played with my Craig system as well. It was just cool. I really enjoyed it. And poured some old school equipment into it. If you look carefully through this video, I'm going to be quiet for a while, see what you can see in terms of old school wiring and fusing. Well, let's hope you picked up on that little bit of old school goodness. It flashed on the screen very briefly. Lots of waterproofing as well. Being a work van, it gets fairly abused, so plenty of waterproofing on the MDF, sealing it before we wrapped carpet and Duratex on the top. Again, just a real heavy duty work truck, so you want a fairly durable finish on an enclosure. It's going to get things knocked against it. This thing was super heavy, so we had to use a forklift to put it in the van at the end. Again, solid wiring, 9,000 watts on a Sound Digital, I think it was the Power 8.8, and with 4 batteries behind it, this thing just could run every day, and that's exactly what Dean wanted. A bit of testing there, some low frequency testing, make sure everything's fine before we do the final coats and carpeting and put it in the car. And again, delivering this car back to Dean, it was a bit easier because he was in Victoria, and he sent me some quality videos of himself enjoying his system. Yes, and now onto the Jeep. So we finally finished the Jeep, you can see there with the images on the right, with our transmission line enclosure. That's us just doing the wrapping of the beauty panel, getting the lighting organised for the perspex insert, finishing off a few layers. Found that some measurements weren't quite right and we had to redo the panels, but that's life. Yes, I need to upgrade my tape measures or my glasses, one of the two. Notwithstanding, this thing is a really interesting enclosure. I enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that it's got an ID Max 10 on it, just a nice 10 running at 700 watts, and the output of this in the Jeep is really surprising. Tonally accurate, really linear. It's a really nice sound. I think a lot of people think it's super, could be super loud, but it's not. Transmission line is not about that. It does give you that extra boost, but it sounds extremely musical. So it's really nice to complement the front stage of the Jeep, which has obviously the Cantons in the front from the late 90s. This is doing the finish on the top. We sort of stain it with, I think it was a Japanese black stain, and we invert the ID10 at the top, and the line length I think was about 2.8 meters, which was a quarter wavelength of the resonant frequency of the sub. Yeah, it came out looking really nice and completely removable too. So if I want access in the back of the Jeep, I just unbolt the bottom of the box from the chassis. And here's a quick time lapse of the Jeep being wrapped. Great work by the guys at Glenbrae Signs in Kilsyth in Melbourne. Check them out, guys, if you want your vehicle wrapped. Looked awesome, looked amazing, and makes a Jeep Wrangler look pretty good. If I say so myself, it looks good. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I will leave you to it. That was a very, very quick snapshot of a couple of years with COVID, and I look forward to bringing some better videos in the next week or so. Stay tuned, everyone. Thanks for watching.